We have been in this workshop a long time. You came in with a mind you mostly made up, and the Craftsman has been at work on it ever since, with 3 tools that come from outside you and a faithfulness underneath them that holds even when the tools themselves fail. 2 questions are left, and they are the best 2 in the whole book. The first is the one you have probably been asking quietly for 15 essays. How do I even know this is working? The second is the one the last essay left ringing in the air. What is all of this for? Let me take them in that order. Here is the first thing to say, and it will be a relief. You're not going to feel finished. The breath comes a measure at a time. The work is slow, and most days you will not be able to see the craftsman's hand moving at all. So do not look for a finished product in the mirror. Look instead for a few quiet marks, and notice that every one of them is the exact reverse of the mirror we started with. A made-up mind is confirmed. A remade one is corrected. So the first mark is that Jesus keeps surprising you, keeps moving you off positions you were comfortable in, keeps making you wince at things you used to be certain of. The flinch is not failure. Is the blade still working? A made-up mind arms you against your enemies. A remade one grows a different kind of fruit. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness. Galatians chapter 5, verses 22 and 23. And you find, almost without noticing, that you have more patience than you used to and less contempt, that you can love people you once dismissed. A made-up mind clings. A remade one holds things open-handed, quicker to break, like David, than to harden, like Saul, readier to be told it was wrong. And here is the strange comfort in it. You will usually be the last to see these marks in yourself. Blind spots are blind. Remember, the people in the room will see the change in you long before you do. So do not stand at the mirror grading yourself. Am I patient enough yet? Is there enough fruit? That is only the old anxious self-measuring in a new costume. This is not a report card. The measure is not how much you now know. It is whether you are slowly becoming someone who looks more like him, transformed into the same image, from one degree of glory to another. 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 18. And that image is the very thing we were created to be in the first place. Slowly, from glory to glory. And the one who began that work has promised to finish it. Philippians chapter 1, verse 6. Which means the honest shape of this is a long, plain walk, most of it unspectacular. Abraham took decades. David took a whole, messy lifetime. You will too. There is no shortcut, no download, no morning you wake up done. There is only the bench and the tools and the patient hand, day after ordinary day. So do not quit because it is slow. Slow is what formation looks like from the inside. Stay on the bench. And now the question the whole series has been climbing toward without quite saying so. Why? Why does God go to all this trouble? The Word, the Spirit, the body, the patience, the rescue, the keeping across the ages to form his mind in a person like you. It is not so you can win arguments. It is not even, in the end, merely so you can be good. It is because he is getting a bride ready. Listen to how the New Testament describes what Christ is doing with his people all through this long in-between. He is sanctifying her, having cleansed her by the washing of water with the word, so that he might present the church to himself in splendor, holy, and without blemish. Ephesians chapter 5, verses 26 and 27. Read that slowly because you have been living inside it for 15 essays without knowing its name. The washing with the word, the cleansing, the long, patient making ready. Every tool in this workshop, every slow degree of the remade mind, it was a bridegroom getting his bride ready for the wedding. And what is she wearing on that day? Revelation shows her. The bride has made herself ready, and it was granted her to clothe herself with fine linen, bright and pure, for the fine linen is the righteous deeds of the saints. Revelation chapter 19, verses 7 and 8. The garment is not bought, it is granted. But look what it is made of, the righteous deeds, the lived-out life, a people whose minds have been remade. The form mind, worked out into a real life, is the wedding dress. This is what all the slow stitching was for. But if you stop at the wedding, you have missed the half of it that should take your breath away. She is not being made ready only to stand at an altar and gaze at him forever. She's being made ready to reign. The one who conquers, Jesus says, I will grant him to sit with me on my throne. Revelation chapter 3, verse 21. If we endure, we will also reign with him. 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 12. Paul asks the squabbling Corinthians, almost in disbelief at how small they were thinking, do you not know that the saints will judge the world? That we are to judge angels? 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verses 2 and 3. They will reign. The last page says, forever and ever. Revelation chapter 22, verse 5. This is the oldest human job there is, finally given back. Go all the way back to the beginning. Humanity was made as God's imagers, his ruling stand-ins, to rule his world on his behalf, to be his governors, his stewards, his underkings. Genesis chapter 1, verses 26 through 28. That was always the design. Adam was made to reign, and he lost the throne the very day he reached out to seize it. The whole long tragedy of the self-made-up mind began with a creature prematurely grabbing for a rule he was meant to receive. And now do you see why the mind matters so much? Why God would go to all this trouble over the way you think and see and judge? Because you cannot co-rule with a made-up mind built on chaos and corruption. A king who governs by his own bent opinions wrecks the world. That is the entire story of every kingdom Adam's children have ever built. To sit beside the king and judge rightly, to govern his world and not ruin it, you need his mind, his way of seeing, his judgment, his heart. The form mind is not a hobby for the especially religious. It is the qualification for a throne, a readiness God works and proves in you, then a crown he grants and you receive. God is not merely saving you from something. He is readying a queen. And notice this is the garden run completely backwards. Where the first bride seized and fell, this bride receives and rises. She does not climb to the throne by her own willpower. She could not, and she is not asked to. The bridegroom himself guarantees he will present her without blemish. She simply stops grabbing and receives the mind and the life and at last the crown, all of it is gift. The reach that lost Eden is finally undone in a bride who has learned, all the way down, not to take of her own mind, but to receive everything from her husband's hand, given through and by his mind to her. So we end exactly where we began. We started on our knees with the hardest confession a person can make. I freely admit my propensity to make up a mind of my own. I would like to have as instead. We walked the whole long road from a garden to a cross, and into the workshop and through the three tools, and down to the faithful God beneath them. And here, at the end, is what it was all for. The made-up mind of opinion and sin, the rebellion of human chaos, was never just a private flaw to be tidied up or paid for like a cosmic parking ticket. It was the one thing standing between you and the destiny you were made for. To trade it slowly, a measure at a time, received and never seized, for the real mind of Christ is to be fitted for a wedding and trained for a throne. So stay on the bench. Stay hungry. Keep receiving. Let the word cut. Let the living breath remake. Let the others see what you cannot, and lean the whole weight of it on a God who keeps his own and finishes what he starts. He who began the good work in you will bring it to completion and present you, ready at last, to himself. The wedding and the throne are still ahead, and the mind being formed in you quietly today is the beginning of the road and the journey to both.